Alright guys, welcome back to the Dirty Tank. Today we got 3 brand new rimless aquariums. We got them for dirt cheap and we need somewhere to put them. So in this area right here, we're going to build a wooden rack made out of 2x4s. And we're going to build it to hold 2 of these rimless aquariums because I'm going to put the other one somewhere else. I'm going to do a full step-by-step build with the time lapse so you guys can see exactly how to build one yourself. Now guys, before we dive into the build, I want to show you the completed build so you know if this is something you want to keep watching, if you want to build a rack kind of how I have mine set up here. So let's go take a look at it. This is the rack that we'll be building here. It's going to hold 2 rimless aquariums. These are 35-gallon cube aquariums and they are rimless, which means you're going to have this plywood top in order to support this tank, right? If your tank has rims on it, or a rim or a frame, then not rims. If it has a rim on it, then you really don't need this plywood top. It can rest on the 2x4s or whatever you have your cross beams made out of. But let me talk about this style of rack before we go into the build. First, it's made completely out of 2x4s. So this is all 2x4s, everything you see here, with the exception of the plywood top. Now this plywood top, and if you're going to make one that's going to support a rimless tank, I suggest you get at least a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch plywood thickness, depending on the size. Now if you have a much larger aquarium, then yeah, you may want this to be even thicker, right? So that you don't get the bows in it. You don't want to get a thin one. Opt in for probably 1/2 inch, that's what I have here, and that way it's not going to bow and you won't get hairline fractures, you know, a year from now. So keep that in mind. Everything else is going to be these 2x4s. Now, if you're looking at mine, the weight of this tank is on this 2x4, well, this plywood, then this 2x4. And then the only thing really holding it in place are these screws here, right? And so you got screws here, you got screws on the other side, you got screws on the side here. Which means that this tank is just being supported by the screws. And so you're gonna wanna do some math. Now, the rule of thumb that I normally use, this isn't perfect for all screws, but a single screw can hold anywhere from 50 pounds to like 1,000 pounds, right? Now these screws here that I got, based on the thickness of what I'm putting it into, they're going to hold about 60 pounds each is what I'm going to rate them for very conservatively. And so you can add these up, right? We have 1, 2, 3 on each corner, right? So 12 screws times 60 pounds, is that more or less the amount of weight that's going on the rack? Now, if it is more weight, then you're good to go. If this is going to hold more weight than whatever your tank size is. But if your tank size is much heavier than what these screws are holding, or it's close to it, then you're going to want to add an extra support beam that I did not add. All you have to do is just put another 2x4 here, just right underneath this guy, all the way down. And you're going to screw it in. So you measure it to size, you plug it in, and you screw it in. That's only if you have a larger aquariums or if you're not using very many screws. But if you're like me, where the weight of the screws, what it can hold, is much more than the weight of this tank, then you're good to go. Now, if you're in the US, an easy way to do gallons, it's not perfect, and it's an overestimate, but this is the way I normally do it. If this is 35 gallons, I add a 0 at the end, and that's 350 pounds. If this is a 20 gallon, I add a 0 at the end, and that's 200 pounds. That's just an easy way to do it. It's actually a little bit more than the actual weight, but that is it in kind of a nutshell. Now this is going to have 2 levels, right? And it's going to end up standing 48 inches tall right here, plus the height of the tank. So my face, as you can see, is probably about right here. So this one's like perfectly eye level if you're standing up. This one's going to be a little bit lower. Now I didn't want it completely on the ground because I have to do water changes and it's going to be easier if it's a little bit elevated. And so I left a little bit extra room so I can put my blackworm culture down there at the bottom. Alright, so the last thing before we go into the build, step-by-step time lapse of building this thing. A lot of people ask, you know, how much space do I put between the top of the tank and the next row? And I've done it a few different ways, but what works for me, the standard I use now going forward for all the racks that I either buy or build, is 7 inches. So normally I want about 7 inches from here to here. This is only about 4 or 5, but plus this, because I actually go up here, right? This is about 9 inches from here to the bottom. So I'll be able to get my net, and then the handle, the net up there won't, you know, prevent me from going as far as I need. So that's a good rule of thumb, about 7 inches. You may be able to do a little bit less, but it's better just to have a little bit more wiggle room to move things around, make maintenance easier, all of that. So let's get into it. All right, so let's start the build. First, your supplies. You're gonna need 2x4s. You're gonna need a plywood base if you have a rimless tank. You're gonna need some screws, screwdriver, tape measure. You're gonna need a chop saw or a skill saw. What I like to do first, this will let you know, where should you cut all your wood, how many pieces do you need, how many pieces do you need to go and buy so you don't have to make a ton of trips. I like drawing it down on paper first. I just do a quick drawing of every piece of 2x4 and its dimensions. And then I can just count it all back up, and I know exactly how many 48-inch sections I need. I know how many 30-inch or 36-inch sections I need, and so on and so forth, right? And this will make sure that, 1, you actually get something that fits your area, and 2, you don't have to make like 20 trips to the store, right? There's nothing worse than that. So you can see I need 6 30-inch sections. 36-inch sections, I need 6 18-inch sections, and I need 4 48-inch sections in order to build everything up. This is just an easy way to know what you need to buy and what you need to cut. Now, I want to show you how long this takes to show you it isn't a difficult build. It is 11:15 a.m. on this beautiful Saturday, and I'm going to show you it's only going to take a couple hours to completely build this. Now I got 8-foot sections of 2x4, and I'm going to cut the 48-inch sections first. These are, I think I only needed 4 of them, so really I'm just cutting them in half. I cut 2 of these 2x4s in half because they're 8-foot sections, and that's going to be the main legs. That's going to be on each 4 of the corners that hold all the shelves together. Now, next up, I'm going to cut the 30-inch, 36-inch sections. I'm going to need that for all the fronts, right? So you got front and back of one shelf, you got front and back of the second shelf, and then you also got front and back of the bottom base itself. Now, why the time lapse is going, I also hear a lot of questions. Do you need pressure treated wood? And that's really up to you, right? Some people use pressure treated wood, and that's okay because it is going to get some contact with water, but really it's not going to get a ton, right? And so if this is in a climate control area, you really do not need pressure treated wood. If you want just the ones that are going to be touching the ground, or the ones that are going to be touching the tank itself, those could be pressure treated if you want, but really that is going to be your choice for you to make if you want to have that in your fish room or not. Since it's not going to be outside, since it's not going to be touching the actual earth, you can do without it, right? Now I cut my 36-inch pieces, I cut my 48-inch pieces. Now I'm going to cut these 18-inch strips, and I'm going to show you how I cut these, well, really all of them. I measure once, right? Not the measure once, cut twice, or measure twice, cut once. But I like to measure one 18-inch section, and I do this any of the sections that I've been cutting. And then instead of measuring again, I use that same exact one, whatever you call it, the one that I just cut off, the first one, to measure all the other ones. And the reason why is because tape measures, they have a little bit give to them, especially at the beginning. And so if you're constantly, and since you're going so quickly, it's really easy to accidentally get, a quarter inch off, a half inch off, and then all of a sudden you got all these different woods that are different sizes. And since I'm really going fast, I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm laying down an 18-inch section that I measured, I cut off, and then I'm using that 18-inch section to measure the rest of them. Now you also want to keep in mind where you should cut, and this is kind of getting particular, right? Do you want to cut right in the middle of your Sharpie line? Do you want to cut to the left of the Sharpie line or to the right of the Sharpie line? You do want to keep that in mind. It's not a game breaker. It may just be a little wiggly if you don't. But if you do mind about those particular things, then keep that in mind. You know, does it make sense to cut on the right side of the Sharpie mark, depending on how you measured and how you laid it out. So keep that in mind whenever you're cutting the wood, and that will help you get something that's perfectly level and perfectly steady. Now, once you cut all your pieces, this is what you're looking at, and then you're going to need screws like this. I got a whole bundle of them. And if you get self-tapping screws, which kind of have a little groove at the beginning, that is going to pre-drill essentially for you so you don't crack your wood. They cost a little bit more, but it makes things a lot easier. If you don't want to get those screws, then yeah, just pre-drill just to make sure you don't have any cracks. Now, this is going to be the top and bottom shelves, and I'm going to cut this to size because really I just need a 30-inch section, 36-inch section by, I think 24 is how big I'm making it wide. Now, if you're not doing a rimless aquarium, you really don't need these shelves unless you just want them, right? And really it's just cutting to size. I'm using a skill saw here. You can get these cut for you at Lowe's, right? You don't necessarily have to cut them yourself if you don't have these tools. Lowe's will cut them for you. I've done that before. It is free. You just have to flag someone down, and it takes a few minutes, but they have a machine that makes it really, really easy to cut. So if you don't have these tools at home, you can still build one of these yourself. Just have Lowe's cut it for you. Now, I did have a notch out where the, I guess, legs will be. And actually I messed up, right? I put the legs in the wrong position. I thought the 2x4s were going to be positioned this way, but I turned them the other way, and I ended up having to recut these little notches. And so that's just something to think about. You know, these things are going to happen to where you're going to make a mistake, and you're just going to have to roll with it, just like I did here. I ended up having to do this part again, but that's all right. Now, once you have everything put together, you can now build the little boxes, and these are going to be the bases and the shelves, the structural component of this rack, essentially. Now, there's going to be one of these boxes at the bottom to be its platform, in the middle to be the first shelf, and at the top to be the second shelf. Now, whenever you're putting these together, it's very important to know, do you want your side pieces to go on top of your front pieces or on the side of the front pieces? And what I mean is that if you stack your side piece, I have an 18-inch side piece, and you stack it on top of the 36-inch front beam, well, then it's no longer 36 inches. It's 36 inches plus the width of that other 2x4, which is 2 inches, right? And so you got to kind of remember this. I almost made the mistake here. See how I put the side beam on the outside? Then I realized, wait a second, I need to put it on the inside. So these are some things that you're going to want to think about, and then you're going to want to make sure you pay attention to, because nothing worse than having to take something down halfway through and rebuild it. But really, once you do this once, it's really easy, right? Just put your side pieces in, mesh them up against the front pieces, screw it all together. I use 2 screws on each joint, and it's good to go. Now, I'm going to mount this first platform in the middle. This is going to be where the first shelf is going to go. So I do want one of these at the very bottom. I want one here, and I want one at the very top. Now, as far as my dimensions, right, if you want the exact same rack, I'm measuring from the bottom 19 inches up, and I want this to be 19 inches from the ground. That way I just have a good enough room underneath for storage, but at the same time it's elevated enough that water changes are going to be easy and I'm not fighting against gravity, because anyone who's ever had a tank on the floor or very low close to the floor, you know that water changes take a lot longer. Now, once you get 1 or 2 on, it's really easy to do the rest. Just make sure you measure where it needs to go. Make sure all the legs are facing the right way, and you will be a-okay. Now, once you got 1 on, the next ones are easy. This is going to be the bottom one. Doing the bottom one's fairly easy. You're going to want to make sure you're on a level surface. I'm not on a level surface, so as you'll see later on this video, one of them is kind of unlevel, so I have to undo one of the legs and re-screw it back in. That's going to happen. That's okay. It only took me an extra maybe 2 or 3 minutes because mistakes happen all the time in these builds. You see people on YouTube or on TV or on Instagram building these beautiful things. Well, I guarantee you there are tons and tons of mistakes. And so if you make one, it's a-okay. I like using these hand clamps to kind of hold things in place because it really does a lot of work, especially if you're doing it yourself. Now, for this bottom section, since it's not going to be holding any weight, I'm using less screws than I did on the rest of them. So you can keep that in mind, right? If it's going to hold weight, do at least 2 screws for every, I guess, face that you're doing, the front, the sides, the back, the other side. And you can see that I'm having to redo this section. So that one 2x4 leg was a little bit lower than the rest of them. So it was going to be a good bit wobbly, and so these are things that are going to happen that you're just going to have to deal with, and it's really just part of it if you ask me. And after that, you're just going to repeat for all the different shelves that you want. And I finished this build at 1:10, so we started at 11:16. So it took me 2 hours to complete this build. So this is definitely something you can do in a weekend or even in an evening if you bought the supplies ahead of time, right? Now this thing fit perfectly in the space where I wanted it, and now it's time to add the tanks. These are rimless tanks. They do have that mat underneath just to help even more with any type of bowing issues, that there won't cause any cracks here. So if you have rimless tanks, make sure you have a platform there, and then make sure you also have that foam, either a foam board or something soft that can absorb its kind of movements. But guys, that's going to wrap up today's build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.